My name is Cynthia. I am 35 years old. I have been married for 10 years. My husband's name is Howard. He is 40. Together, we have a son. His name is Charlie. He is 7 years old. For many years, our life felt warm and simple. We were not rich, but we were happy. Every evening, we had a small tradition, something simple, something quiet, but very special to me. We drank Turkish tea together at the kitchen table. 2 cups, 1 conversation. We talked about work, about Charlie, about our dreams. Sometimes we laughed for no reason. Sometimes we just sat in silence, but it was a comfortable silence. Back then, Howard looked at me with love, and I looked at him the same way. But something changed, slowly, quietly, almost without warning. For the past 3 or 4 months, my husband has been different, very different. He comes home from work late. He eats dinner quickly. Then he turns on the television. Or he goes straight to bed, without talking, without smiling. On weekends, he is rarely home. Sometimes he goes to meetings. Sometimes he plays golf. Sometimes he locks himself inside his home office. He always says the same thing: "I'm busy." Howard is the boss at his company. He manages many employees. He carries a lot of responsibility. At least that is what he tells me. Before, I used to help him with his work. I organized documents. Sometimes I helped with money and planning. But now, he does everything alone. He says he trusts no one, not even me. Our house has become strangely quiet. No more evening tea, no more late-night conversations. Just television light and silence. A heavy silence. Last week, I made a decision. I sent Charlie to stay with my mother for the weekend. I thought maybe Howard and I needed time alone, time to talk, time to remember who we were. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe work was exhausting him. Maybe he simply needed rest. But that night, nothing changed. Howard came home late. He sat down, ate his dinner, and never even noticed the red dress. Next morning, he left the house early, even though it was Saturday. I sat alone in the kitchen, a cup of tea in my hands, but the tea had already turned cold. And suddenly, a painful thought entered my mind. I felt like a stranger in my own home. That night, I made another decision. I could not continue living like this, not with silence, not with distance. I needed answers. So, I waited for him. I cooked his favorite dinner. I cleaned the house. I even wore the red dress he once loved. I did my hair, a little makeup, something I had not done in months. My heart was beating fast, but I told myself something simple. Tonight, we would finally talk. But when Howard came home, he looked tired, very tired. He sat down, ate his dinner, and never even noticed the red dress. Howard sat quietly at the table. He ate slowly, but he never looked at me. Not once. My heart was beating fast. I felt nervous, but I had already made my decision. I had waited long enough. "Howard," I said softly, "can we talk?" He looked up, surprised. "Now?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Please." We moved to the living room. The television was off. The house felt strangely quiet. I sat beside him on the couch, trying to stay calm, but my eyes were already full of tears. "You've changed," I said slowly. "We don't talk anymore. You don't smile at me. You barely even look at me. It feels like I don't exist." Howard lowered his head. He said nothing. The silence between us felt heavy, painfully heavy. So I asked the question that had been living in my mind for weeks. "Do you still love me?" Howard looked up at me. His eyes looked tired, very tired. "Of course I love you," he said. "I'm just exhausted. Work is difficult right now. I have too much pressure. I'm trying to manage everything." I nodded slowly, but inside, something still felt wrong. Something didn't feel true. So I asked the question I never wanted to ask before. "Is there someone else?" Howard looked shocked, almost offended. "No," he said quickly. "Never. I don't even have time for that. My head is full of work. I love you, Cynthia. Please be patient with me." He reached out and gently touched my hand. "Give me a little time," he said. "I promise I will try to change." I wanted to believe him. I really did. So I forced a small smile. "Okay," I said. "I will wait." But inside my heart, something still felt broken. Days passed, then weeks, but nothing changed. Howard still came home late. He still ate dinner in silence. He still looked distant, almost like a stranger. I tried to stay patient. I reminded myself what he had said. He loves you. He just needs time. So I kept trying. I cleaned the house. I played with Charlie. I smiled even when I felt sad. I even planned a weekend trip, just the two of us, a small chance to reconnect. But when I asked him, he barely looked up. "Not now," he said. "I have meetings. Maybe next month." My heart sunk. That night, I sat alone in the living room. The lights were off. The house was quiet. Charlie was already asleep. Howard was still in his office, working, always working. I opened an old photo album, pictures from our wedding, pictures from our honeymoon, smiles, hugs, laughter. I touched one photo gently and whispered to myself, "Where did all of this go?" A few days later, I sent Charlie to my mother again. I wanted another chance to talk with my husband. But when Howard arrived home, He walked straight past me. No hello, no smile. He went directly to his office and closed the door. I stood outside that door with my hand raised, ready to knock. But I stopped. My hand slowly fell. I walked back to the kitchen and sat down alone with another cup of cold tea. And for the first time, a frightening thought appeared in my mind. Maybe he doesn't see me anymore. Maybe he forgot who I am. And suddenly, I wondered something I never dared to ask before. Is this still a marriage, or just two strangers living in the same house? The next morning, I woke up early. The bed beside me was empty. Howard had already left for work. No goodbye, no kiss, just an empty space beside me. I stared at the ceiling for a long time. My heart felt tired, not angry, not loud, just tired. Charlie woke up soon after. I made breakfast for him, eggs, toast, a glass of milk. I smiled and played with him like everything was normal, but inside, I felt invisible. That evening, I tried one more time. Howard came home late again. I was waiting near the door. I forced a gentle smile. "Do you want to go for a walk?" I asked. He looked at me. His eyes were tired, cold. "Not now, Cynthia," he said. "Maybe later." I nodded quietly, but something inside me broke. That night, Howard worked in his office again. The door was closed. The light under the door stayed on for hours. I sat in the living room, thinking about our life, about 10 years together, about all the small things that once made us happy. Then, I did something I never thought I would do. I packed a small bag for me and for Charlie. After that, I sat at the kitchen table and wrote a letter. "I still love you, Howard," I wrote, "but I cannot be the only one trying. I miss your heart more than I miss your presence. You asked me to wait. I waited with love, with patience, with tears. But now I need to find myself again. I am not leaving forever, but I cannot stay here and feel invisible." I left the letter on the table. My hands were shaking. My eyes were full of tears. Then I closed the door quietly. Charlie held my hand, and we walked into the night. Not away from love, but toward healing. For a week, I stayed at my mother's house. The house felt peaceful, but my heart was still heavy. Then, one day, Howard sent me a message. "I miss you. I miss Charlie. Please come home. I'm ready to change." Part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me was still afraid. But eventually, I decided to go back, just to see if things could be different. One quiet evening, after Charlie went to bed, I walked into the living room. Howard had left his phone on the table. He had gone to take a shower. I wasn't planning to look. I really wasn't. But suddenly, The screen lit up. A message appeared from a woman. My hands began to shake. The message said, "I miss you. Did you think about me today?" My heart stopped. I didn't open the message. I didn't need to. In that moment, everything became clear. The distance, the silence, the late nights. Howard walked back into the room, smiling like nothing had happened. I looked at him, at the man I loved for 10 years. And suddenly, I felt very small. That night, I lay beside him in bed. He slept peacefully. But I cried silently in the darkness. That night, I barely slept. Howard lay beside me, breathing slowly, peacefully, as if nothing had happened. But inside my chest, everything felt broken. 10 years. 10 years of love, trust, memories. And now, a single message had changed everything. I miss you. The words repeated in my mind again and again. The next morning, I woke up before him. The house was still quiet. Charlie was still asleep. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my cup of tea. The tea slowly turned cold. Howard walked into the kitchen a few minutes later. "Good morning," he said. I didn't answer. He didn't seem to notice. My heart felt heavy, but this time, I didn't stay silent. "Howard," I said quietly, "we need to talk." He looked at me. Something in my voice made him stop. "What's wrong?" he asked. I took a slow breath. My hands were trembling, but my voice stayed calm. I saw the message. Howard froze. For a moment, he said nothing. The silence told me everything. "I gave you 10 years of my life," I said slowly. "I trusted you. I believed every word you said." Howard looked down. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never meant to hurt you." But those words felt empty. Too late. "You already did," I said. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't cry. Not this time. "I asked you before," I continued. "I asked if there was someone else. You said no." Howard closed his eyes. "I didn't know how to tell you," he said quietly. That answer hurt more than the truth. I stood up slowly. The chair moved softly across the floor. "I need time," I said. "Time to think. Time to breathe. time to remember who I am. Howard looked at me, but he didn't try to stop me. Maybe he knew it was too late. That evening, I packed a small bag, just a few clothes, some toys for Charlie. Charlie held my hand as we walked toward the door. My heart felt heavy, but strangely calm. Before leaving, I looked around the house one last time. The kitchen, the couch, the table where we once drank tea every evening. 10 years of memories lived inside those walls. But sometimes love alone is not enough. Sometimes choosing yourself is the bravest thing you can do. So I chose peace instead of pain. And that night, holding my son's hand, I walked out of the house and into the quiet dark. Not because I stopped loving him, but because I finally started loving myself.